Station is time for McCollum Wellness Radio. In my life, there came a time when I had to make a change. You know, the things just weren't right. I looked around for someone else to blame. I searched and I reached down inside. And I knew when there's a light I can hide. I can be free. I can be free. I can rise above. I can be free.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum coming to you from KSCO Radio. I'm very happy to be here today, and hopefully I'm going to be able to spread some news that will help you improve your health. And that's always my goal, is to do something that's going to make the place I am at or leave a little happier or healthier. It's kind of funny. Oftentimes you've probably heard stories, or some of my patients talk on the air and talk about the service we provide. Not just the health service, but the customer service is a huge thing for us. We really want to make it, from the minute you call the office to the minute that you walk out, every time, that it's a new and favorable experience. I tell my staff, you know, whenever somebody walks in, it's got to be the best time they've ever come into the office. And guess what? The next time has to be the best time they ever come into the office. It's a lot to fill, but it's so important. The reason I'm bringing this up is, you know, a lot of times it's very difficult to get in to see anybody in the health field. It might take months, depending on who you're seeing. We try to get people and new patients in within a few days. We are often waiting list, but we do have cancellations, and we'll put you on that list and call you in. But I was out at a restaurant, and it was I guess it was last Monday or Tuesday. And it's one of the restaurants that, you know, you sit at a bar and there's glass between you and the people working the food court. And I was enjoying my meal and watching them. And then I realized not one of the servers or the cooks that you were out there presented to the public were smiling. In fact, just the opposite. They all had scowls on their faces. And I looked over to my left, and there was a waitress ringing up a bill at a register in a corner, and she had a scowl on her face. And I went, wow, this is a customer service, public service place. And I thought it was very, very strange that, and maybe you see this when you go around town, customer service is not really the way it used to be. Oftentimes you go and you get service somewhere and you walk up to the counter and the person says yes, and you make an order and they give you what you ordered and say that will be, used to be $3.50, now it's $9, and you give it to them, and then they turn this thing around and say, well, make sure to give me a tip. I mean, they imply it by flipping around this little thing. And it just kind of occurred to me, wow, well, back in the day when you sat down and somebody served you and busted your table for you, and if they were polite and you know, actually friendly, that's when they would get a tip. And you know, I've been known to tip sometimes 2 to 3 times what my meal was, just because I like the service. And I believe that when you give out into the universe, things come back. Anyway, I just wanted to make a plug for you to go out there. When you're out there, just notice the service. And, you know, sometimes I feel like saying, and I don't, gosh, maybe you should not be working in the service field, or we know that our office, we always have a mirror by our phone. Every phone in my office has a mirror by it. So when you answer the phone, you look in the mirror and you would say, it's a great day at McCollum Family Chiropractic. This is Dr. McCollum. I can help you. And try doing that with a frown on your face. It sounds like this. It's a great day at McCollum Family Chiropractic. This is Dr. McCollum. I can help you. So by simply putting a smile on your face, you can change the whole human race. And that sounds like a song. In fact, it is a song. But anyway, that's just my little tip for today on public service. Whether you're in the industry or you use the industry, let's try to improve our environment by improving our interactions with people. It will help the stress level tremendously. And by creating this kind of affinity amongst our community, we're going to change a lot. I mean, stress is huge. And, you know, we're not being bombarded by some invisible something right now, but we're being bombarded by very high inflation costs that seem to come out of nowhere by some people. Other people believe they know where it's coming from, but that's not a discussion for this show. The discussion for this show is how to help you become healthier and stay healthier. And, you know, health is one of those things that, you know, there's this old phrase, don't worry about it, it will go away. Don't worry about your health, it will go away. You know, and that's kind of a phrase taken and changed a little bit towards my industry. But when you take a look at your health, it is insidious that it slowly goes away. In fact, right now, 50% of all deaths in the world are caused by chronic disease, according to when you take a look at, you know, various things on the internet. And it's probably worse than that. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be talking about some of the causes of chronic inflammation. I'm really switching gears again and going back to cellular inflammation. Fix the cell to get well, Dr. Pompa's mantra. Dr. Dan Pompa, a really good friend of mine. We were out in Portland a few weeks ago, and I had a chance to sit down with him for a minute or two. And I'm going to see him out in Salt Lake City in a few weeks. And, you know, it really is so important that we figure out what we can do to make our body healthier. So I've decided to brush off my book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock, update it, because there's been a lot of changes in the three years since I published it. So I'm working to get that reissued, but I'm changing and updating some of the chapters, including a few different things that have come to mind since then. One is the term hormesis. You've heard me talk about that before. It's just the fact that your body loves change and it loves stress in short bursts. So, you know, it's like when you, for instance, when you jump into a cold plunge, maybe some of you go to, you know, the spa and you jump into the cold plunge, and that does something to your body. It shocks your body. Now, if you stayed in that cold plunge forever, it'd probably freeze to death, right? But when you jump in for a moment and get out, it changes your environment inside your body. It changes your immune response, and it causes every cell in your body to wake up and do something. So that's a hormetic change. When you go through environmental changes, like from hot to cold, food changes, you eat some kind of a ketogenic diet, you don't ever want to stay on that for more than 3 months. You got to move to a different kind of diet, like maybe the paleo or the Mediterranean diet. But one of the biggest issues with people and food and diet is they think that they should stay on the same diet for 30 years. It becomes unhealthy to be on the same diet all that time, especially when you consider what's going on with our food sources. They're just depleted of so many minerals. I've talked about when you even go to the farmer's market, to make sure you don't buy from the same farmer or same booth every week. Go and get your rainbow chard at a different booth, because the microbiome in the soil of that farm, of each farm, is different. And those microbiome are essential to helping your plant, for instance, the chard, get the nutrients that it needs, that when you eat it, the microbiome in your gut now will take and digest that so we can utilize it. And so that's a hormetic change when you change the foods you eat or the farms that you buy your food from. So I wanted to really address autumn and winter and boosting your immune system and what you can do. And I have an article here I pulled up, and I'm going to read from it, and it will be on my YouTube channel, as long as it still stays open, because I'm talking about health. And for some reason, I don't know who, but they don't want a lot of information on alternative health spread out for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, so I'm just going to share my screen. The first thing I'm going to do is, it was so fun rereading my book, and I'm still doing that because it's been a while since I've had a chance to look at it. But I'm going to read a little verse from it, if I can find it. Oh, I might have to put my glasses on. There we go. I will put my glasses on so I can talk into the microphone. Okay, so this is at the beginning of my book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock, and hopefully the new version will be out in a month or so. So if you're interested, wait till it comes out, because it will be updated. But anyway, it says, what is it within us that makes us decide to wither or to grow tall, to climb the tallest mountain or to slip and then to fall? There comes a time to each of us wherein we have to choose to cash it in or suck it up, and I'm not in your shoes. So take a look now deep inside and let your future be, because, my friend, it's up to you to let your spirit free. You can decide to live or die. The choice is up to you. If you select the first one, then go forth with lightning speed. It's said 2 paths split in the woods, and one was seldom traveled. Yet therein lies the truth you seek, and freedom for your taking. I trust in you to make your choice and let the power hidden turn on that thing that lies within and lead you to your dream. For youth, you'll find alive and well, awaiting for your signal. 1 if by land, 2 if by sea, so let your future free. And, I've written quite a few prose along the way, and many of my books have them. And this particular one is in memory and appreciation of my father, who introduced me to Robert Service, a great poet. Something of a Sourdough was his book, and I love it. I forget the first part of it, but I'll remember. Anyway, so that's just kind of taking a look at, it's up to you to make a decision to change something in your life. And I'm hoping that you realize that the choice is in you. Oops. All right. So I'm going to try to share my screen again and see if I can get another thing opened. All right. Hopefully I can. At any rate, I think, what we really want to do is take a look at the cause of disease and what's causing our bodies and our immune system to become weak. Because once we understand that, then we can make changes. We can do something to alter it. So if I can get this article up, it's pretty good. It talks about what is chronic disease. It defines it pretty well, and also gives a really good idea of what people can do about it. So there it is. Okay. So this is called, see if I'm sharing my screen. If not, I'll just read it. Excuse me for my impertinence. Let's see if I have it on. There we go. Nope. Okay. Well, I'm just going to read this. I'm not sure if it's going to be recorded. It's called Chronic Inflammation, Why It's Harmful and How to Prevent It. And this is in the Daily Living. And it says, when you think of inflammation, do you picture the swelling or redness that accompanies an injury or infection? If so, you'd be right. But there's another more insidious kind of inflammation, one that's harder to notice and harmful to your health. You've almost certainly heard the phrase chronic inflammation, but many of us have a hazy understanding of what it means. Simply put, this ongoing immune system reaction can be symptoms of an autoimmune or other serious illness, but it also plays a role in the disease process of many life-threatening conditions. So what he's saying here is chronic inflammation, which we know is the cause of chronic disease, is a major role in the disease process of many of the life-threatening conditions. So if you could do something about chronic inflammation, then maybe you could reduce your risk of having these life-threatening diseases. Okay, here's where I heard this. In fact, more than 50% of all deaths worldwide are attributed to chronic inflammation, chronic inflammatory diseases, including cancer, cardiovascular disease, dementia, stroke, and diabetes. And this is Dr. Katan Adnan, by the way. And then he quotes, inflammation that's not specifically from an infection or injury often doesn't manifest itself into clear symptoms, says Dr. Katan Adnan, a physician with Novat Health, Presbyterian Internal Medicine. It's just kind of smoldering in the background. Wow. So chronic inflammation, you may not notice it. It's smoldering in the background. That's why it's so important to know the signs of chronic inflammation and what to do if you notice them. And rest assured, you are not powerless against chronic inflammation. Yay. Nice to hear that. Keep reaching for some easy things to do to prevent it. So he's on the right track. He's talking about the fact that most people don't even know they have chronic inflammation because it's very insidious. It could be around the organs in your body. It could be in your brain. It could be in the tooth or jaw of your mouth. It could be systemic. It could be at a cellular level. Any of these chronic inflammations that are responsible for 50% of the world death, according to this gentleman here, is something that you can actually do something about. And my book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock, goes into that, as well as some of the things that we're doing in our office. In fact, the Dr. Pompa program, the new and improved Pompa program, we are instigating in our office, the fastest growing alternative healthcare group in the world, from what I understand, or one of them, the new Dr. Pompa program. I'm one of 40 of the platinums that have been with them for over 5 years. And every one of us is doing whatever we can to help individuals. Now, the good thing about me at this point is because I am no longer the adjusting chiropractor at my office, I am able to actually spend more time doing this. So I have Dr. Taylor Pascal, who's my treating doctor, incredible guy, godsend. And that's allowing me to free my time to do what people really need, and that's chronic inflammatory lessening or decreasing. I'm going to take a short break. I will be back in just a second. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum. Talk to you soon.
Nowhere left to go. The truth is right in front of you. You will see. It will make a better road. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum here, and I have Pastor Mark with me. He came in and experienced the stem cell machine, the TRT machine, and he wanted to just go ahead and tell you a little bit of his experience. Yeah, I injured my knee years ago from sports and being dumb, and after the first stem cell treatment, after the very first one, I could do a full knee squat, and doctors told me that we want to replace your knee, and my knee would just ache just from sitting, and you probably experienced that if you have knee problems, but now, no ache, I can walk without pain. And when I sit, I had no pain. And I just love it. I'd recommend it to anybody. It's terrific. When we look at your x-rays, your discs and your knees look pretty good, too. Yeah, they're improving so much. I just love it. I can't wait for my treatment every week. Highly recommend it to anyone. So you'd recommend they do the $49 special to see if it will work for them? Oh, absolutely. That's what drew me in was the $49 special. I thought I got $50 to spend to just see, and it certainly has paid off. Call 831-459-9990. Thanks. Hey, this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I have this amazing patient, Lauren, here, and she had a few things to say.
Hi, I'm Lauren Spencer, a local realtor, and I've been seeing Duncan for years now. I had a biking accident and he's been adjusting me since then, and it's been amazing. But lately I've had trouble with my feet, and I'm an avid walker, avid biker, avid golfer. And my feet were aching all the time. And I tried Duncan's TRT machine, which is an amazing stem cell machine that rejuvenates the cells. And my feet, I've had like 3 or 4 sessions with the machine, and my feet are like new, no aches, no pains. It's a miracle. So I really highly recommend Duncan and his chiropractic services, but also that TRT machine. You got to try it. Thanks.
Wow, thanks, Lauren. That was awesome. So we still have the $49 special. Come on in and see if it works for you. Thank you.
You search and you reach down inside.
Hello, everybody. Dr. Duncan McCollum back. So what's interesting is I've had, when I got that machine, the soft wave therapy, tissue regenerative therapy machine, it's been, gosh, I think about 5 years now. There were only 200 in the country. Now there's maybe 700, but I had a $49 special back then. Before COVID, it's still $49 to come in and try it. I went out to dinner last night with a friend of mine after playing some pickleball, which is fun, but don't go play it. It's not that fun. But we went out to dinner, and between the two of us, our meager meal was $50 each for one meal. So for $49, you can come in and try the stem cell machine, the soft wave therapy machine, and see if it helps you. I'd recommend it. And so did Pastor Mark and Lauren. So, you know, what the heck? If you are suffering from shoulder pain, leg pain, hip pain, knee pain, back pain, it might be worth checking it out. And it works on chronic inflammation, by the way, which is the subject of today's show. The sound comes out at 3,358 miles an hour. And it goes in about the depth of a soup can. And the sound goes through healthy tissue, no problem. When it runs into something unhealthy or inflamed joint, it pushes the toxicity or the inflammation out of there and stimulates your own stem cells to come in and rebuild the area. It also creates something called angiogenesis, which means new blood vessel growth. So it's a pretty cool machine. I highly recommend you try it. McCollum Chiropractic, you can just call us at 831-459-9990 or find us on the web. But you know what? You have nothing to lose except maybe you don't go out to dinner one time. What the heck? Okay, so we're talking about this article that I have here, starting with this by Dr. Ketan Amin, a physician with Novat Health, and he's talking about chronic inflammation. And he goes on to say, what is inflammation? Inflammation is part of our natural healing process. When our bodies are faced with injury, illness, or harmful toxins, our body's immune system and inflammatory cells and other substances are released to defend, jump in, and start the healing process. Now, there are 2 types of inflammation: acute inflammation and chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the killer. Acute inflammation is a rapid immune system defense response that causes redness and swelling around a cut or a sore, such as a sore throat even. It tends to trap and negate bacteria. So the acute inflammation is there, and it traps and negates bacteria, viruses, and toxic chemicals. Acute inflammation seldom lasts for more than a week or 2. So if you've got any kind of inflammation in an area lasting for more than a week or 2, it's now chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation, on the other hand, occurs when the body starts to or continues to send out inflammatory cells and substances, even though there is no infection or injury. So it continues to create or send out inflammatory cells and substances, even though there isn't an infection or injury. Wow, that sounds like something a little messed up there. And this happens because happens internally. Because this happens internally, the signs of chronic inflammation are seldom subtle and can increase gradually over a long period of time. So it's the chronic gradual increase of chronic inflammation and the damage that it does to the body organs and cells of your body that's causing the health crisis we have in our country. And as you know, we're rated 47th in the world for health, has been that way for ever since I've been in practice, and even before. I've been in practice almost 35 years. That hasn't changed a niche. However, we spend $4.3 trillion on healthcare, 75 to 90%, depending on which article you read, one from the CDC or World Health Organization, you can look it up. 90% of all healthcare is spent to mitigate or handle chronic disease. Look it up, don't trust me. And if you find the 75% or 90%, either way, $4.3 trillion is a lot of money. And I think it's 3.9 trillion is spent on managing the symptoms caused by chronic disease. Pretty crazy. Okay. What causes chronic inflammation? So this, I'm just going on with this article. In addition to contributing to the development of illness, chronic disease. So in addition to the contributing to the development of illness, and chronic inflammation can also be a symptom. In autoimmune diseases like multiple sclerosis, lupus, and rheumatoid arthritis, for example, it can also result from untreated injuries or illness, or from exposure to industrial chemicals, pollutants, and other environmental toxins. So right now, what we see is, glyphosate is like the greatest problem because it gets into our bloodstream and crosses the blood-brain barrier, or it doesn't cross it. It opens up first what's called the blood-brain barrier and does cross into it and pushes other harmful toxins into the brain that should never get through the holes that the glyphosate is making. It's also being sprayed liberally on any of the American-grown grains, and actually genes are being put into some of the grains, like corn, to not be harmed by glyphosate so that they can use it and kill the weeds, but not the corn. So these things are harmful to us. They're not something that you should be readily exposing yourself to if you want to if you don't want the effects of chronic inflammation, which we now know is responsible for 50% of all the deaths in the world. Okay, so he goes on to say certain lifestyle factors may also make you more prone to developing chronic inflammation that lead to disease, including eating diet high in added sugar that causes inflammation, refined carbohydrates, which is all processed food, and fried foods, and unhealthy fats. So any of the fat, when we did the 21-day challenge, which anybody's welcome to tap into on my website for free, you can learn a lot. There's recipes, there's the good oils versus bad oils, also a step-by-step procedure where you can start to get yourself healthy. But anyway, so foods, unhealthy ones particularly, basically, if you just go into this grocery store and go all the way from take your cart to the right, turn up the vegetable aisle, go across the back, which is usually all of the dairy and various things like that, the eggs, and then take a right at the meat section, and all you do is pick up organic everything and stay out of those middle aisles where they have all the refined food, you'd be doing yourself a big favor. So alcohol, drinking alcohol in excess, more than 1 or 2 servings a day, or simply smoking cigarettes. And now we know that sitting is the new smoking. So we should put sitting in there as too, causes chronic disease because It causes chronic inflammation because your body's circulatory system doesn't get to work. And rather than pushing the toxins out through your lymphatic system, which is only activated by the muscles when you move and exercise, then those toxins lay around and cause inflammation at cellular level. And since the cells are the only live part of your body, it's very important for you to be able to keep them flushed full of healthy oils and water, and so that the nutrients, the hormones, can get to the cell. Hormone optimization is one of the key, as well as healthy glucose, and even more importantly, a very generous portion of ketones, and you mix these up. That's hormesis again, where you use one then the other. Your body loves change, people don't. Being overweight, we are the most obese country in the industrialized world. Crazy. We spend more money on all healthcare. And being obese causes inflammation. And so what if we were to reduce our weight in this country? Do you think it would improve our health? I do. But nobody knows how to do it, and they're not teaching it in even when we grow up in school. What they're serving is ridiculous. Okay. Living with chronic stress, including social stressors like isolation, rejection, and loss. Well, what happened for 3 years? Isolation, rejection, and loss of friendships or family or what have you. Then having a irregular sleep pattern. So sleep is regulated by some of the hormones in your body. And if you have hormone disruptors like toxins and inflammation in the brain, if you have an open blood-brain barrier and the chemicals are getting in there affecting your pineal gland, which is the gland that makes you sleep or wake, as well as the other endocrine glands like the hypothalamus and pituitary, then you're going to have a lot of trouble in that arena. So how do you tell if you have chronic disease? Body discomfort, including joint pain, tendonitis, or muscle pain. We see this walk in the door all the time. Sleeping disorders like insomnia, sleep apnea, persistent fatigue, weight gain or unexplained weight loss. Skin rashes like cirrhosis, and frequently infected areas like viruses. Okay. Cirrhosis, a lot of times, and or eczema is kind of tacitly looked at as a skin condition. It isn't necessarily a skin condition. It's not what's on the surface. It's what's underneath. It's what's going on in your body, usually connected to the digestive system, the large intestine, and an imbalance of the friendly, healthy flora in your intestines. Your body detoxifies, I used to say in 4 ways, but I've been corrected. Your body detoxifies in 5 ways: through the liver, through the large intestine, colon, through the kidneys, through your bladder and urine, through your skin, through sweat and oils and salts come out of there, through your lungs with gases. Those are the 4, but then the other one is through your mental, or through your mind, a positive mental attitude. Now, you can't always have a positive mental attitude, but you can work towards it. You can write down your dreams and goals, and you can look at them every day and decide, I'm just not going to let, I'm going to make sure good things happen today. And, you know, if you just kind of repeat it over and over and over again, what you think about, you talk about, you talk about, you bring about, eventually you are going to change the chemistry in your brain, because feel-good transmitters come about when you're thinking about good stuff. Now, I'm going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back and talk about how to get the inflammation out of your body and things that you can do. And I'll be right back.
You can be free. You can be free. You can rise above. You can be free. You can be free. You will rise above.
Hey, everybody, this is Dr. McCollum. I have this amazing guy, Gary, here, who's a new patient to our office. And he just came up to the front and started talking about stuff. And I wanted you to just express what you were telling us.
What is really satisfying to me is coming here and meeting fine people like Natalie. And frequently she's the utility player running around the office. And you can always tell that Natalie's on the phone because she will always say, McCollum Chiropractic, I can help you. And you know what? She can and she does. And it just makes my heart jump just to realize it's so helpful and friendly people in the office. Everyone from Angus, who runs the TRT machine, the other chiropractors in the office, and the administrative staff like Arlene, very friendly and very helpful. If you want to feel comfortable at a chiropractor's office, come to Dr. McCollum. He's conveniently located off of 41st Avenue.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Call today for a complimentary consultation, 831-459-9990. Hi, this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I have this amazing patient, Gayleen, here, who walked into our office, well, barely walked into our office, and she'd had a lot of attempts in trying to fix her health, and she's had some tremendous changes here. So I was wondering if you would like to just tell our audience about that.
Well, like Dr. McCollum said, I came into the office in December, hardly able to walk and bent over. And within 3 visits, I was standing up straight, walking. I couldn't believe it. That's never happened to me before. It's been a very rough road, but we're getting there, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah, and you had 2 back surgeries as well, right?
Yes, I did. Yep, in 1995. Yeah.
And so they didn't really solve your problem.
No, they didn't.
And you came in, we did some stem cell treatments on you and some chiropractic on you, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So you're happy.
I'm happy. Everyone here is just awesome. They're all here to help you. They're all so sweet. And I'm glad I came here.
Thank you so much, Gayleen. And I just really appreciate you being here as well. You're such a pleasure when you come in.
Thanks.
So you should listen to Gayleen, see if we can help your health.
That's right. Anyone that needs help, please come in.
Thank you.
And the ones around. Just try to remember that we found. Yeah. We can be free.
Okay, I'm back. This is Dr. McCollum, and that is Steve Funderburg's song, sung by, I think, 11 or 12th time Grammy Award winner Tony Lindsay. And we can be free. And you know, it's all inside of you. You can do it. You can decide to do it. Sometimes it might seem unfathomable that you can make a change, but you can. And one way you do it is you just decide, right? Einstein said, if you do the same thing and expect a different result, you know, you might want to relook at that. So relook at it. And we're here to help. We're doing a lot of the cellular healing again. Dr. Pompa's redone all of the products, and of the 3 phases of detox, which is the first is we prepare your body. That might take a month or 2 just to get the liver and kidneys and your colon ready to dump the toxins. You never want to do a detox till your body's prepped. Then we actually do what's called the body phase, where we're actually going to help pull the toxins, the heavy metals, the molds, the hidden infections out of your body, the chemicals and pollutants. Eventually, after a few months, we'll get to the brain phase, which is where the magic really begins, when we can pull the heavy metals, molds, other things out of the body, free up your endocrine system, free up the pituitary and the hypothalamus gland, which are your master hormone glands, so that they can actually create the right hormones or talk to the other hormone glands in your body, so your body can produce and absorb them. What can absorb them? The cells. The cells are the only things the organs connect to. There's 75 trillion cells in your body. Just for an example, the thyroid. You know, people have hyperthyroid, Hashimoto's disease, or lower thyroid, all these various things. Did you know that the thyroid hormone is the hormone that goes to every single cell in your body except the red blood cells? Yeah, it's that important. But if your thyroid is plugged up, if you've got inflammation around your thyroid, if your pituitary gland cannot communicate with it, if your nervous system isn't telling the brain what to do, I mean, it might sound real complicated, but to be honest with you, it's not. The body knows what to do. The greatest physician who ever lived lives right inside of you. It's your innate intelligence. What's confusing is how our health care system is not acknowledging that your body has this incredible ability to heal itself, and putting all these substances in the body to cover up the symptoms, knowing that they don't change anything. They don't help the condition. And if you don't believe me, just start looking at the CDC and all these articles, and you're going to see where it says such and such will help with the symptom, such and such will help with the symptom. Very rarely do you see will stop the condition from occurring. So drugs can't do that. I can't do it. The only thing that can do it is your body's innate intelligence. So if we give it the right tools, it's got a fighting chance. If we don't, you're just heading down that hill of being 47th in the world for health, chronic, obesity. 50 to 60% of us are diabetic or pre-diabetic. 30 million diagnosed with thyroid problems, and it just goes on and on and on. All right, so I'm going to talk briefly about how we heal the body. It happens at a cellular level. Dr. Pompa says, fix a cell to get well. Now you have to clean out the downstream pathways first. You can't do anything till your body can successfully and safely eliminate toxins out of your body through primarily the colon and the bladder. But, the microbiome, the 100 trillion microbiome that live in our gut, in other words, there's only 75 human cells, but 100 trillion microbiome. We're more bugs than we are human cells. These microbiome that live in our gut, most of them are very unhealthy, begetting other unhealthy cells. So if you were to watch this rewatch this show on my YouTube channel, Dr. Duncan McCollum, or if you want to just contact my office, we can email you the copy of it. And anyway, this is a Dr. Pompa version. There's a round circle. It's a cell wall. And it shows healthy channels and gates that open and shut to let healthy substances into the cell or act on the cell. Hormones act on the cell, creating a response. It's kind of like if you had a multicolor lights in your room, and you hit one light and it's blue, another light it's red, another light it's green, another light it turns yellow. That's what hormones do to the cell. Each hormone creates a different effect on the cell. Then the cell gets a signal and decides what to do. And a healthy operating body is going to work in a way that these hormones are giving correct signals at the right time to sustain life, longevity, and keep you out of danger. Now, what happens is these gates and channels, like, a gate like on your side of your house, if you put a lock on it, it can't open. The things in life that put locks on those gates are toxins and or impurities. Or, for instance, in the case of female hormones, estrogen, for instance, we've all heard of that. There's good estrogens and bad estrogens, and blank estrogens. A lot of people like eating soy, for instance. It's an estrogenic food, but it has zero strength. So it's like football season that's coming, and you might see my commercial on ESPN Monday Night Football. You've probably seen it on the Giants if you're a Giants fan. Hopefully they'll make the playoffs. But at any rate, we really want to take a look at how to get these gates and channels open correctly. Toxins lock the gates. They stop the hormones from getting into the cell. They stop the unhealthy oils that we eat are what are making those cell walls crispy, crunchy, and stiff. So Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about the cell wall being the most intelligent part of our body. And if we allow it to function in a clean environment, it will stay healthy. If we put it in an unhealthy environment, it will start to die, which is what Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about. And it proves out. We've seen the experiments on it. So in this picture, we're looking at healthy cells versus unhealthy cells. I'm going to try to put up another one here. This other one is called, Well, it shows what happens with leaky gut. This picture, if you were to see it, I can describe it. In your intestines, all of the cells are supposed to be very tightly connected to the one next to it. Your intestine's only one cell deep. When stuff goes through the inside of the colon, which would be eliminated outside eventually, nutrients, microbiome, different substances like bile in your gut, in your large intestine, break down the foods into various vitamins and minerals, or as far as bile, it breaks down fats into fatty acids that can be absorbed through the wall of your intestine into the bloodstream to feed a healthy body. When you have dysbiosis, which means, you know, your large intestine is inflamed, and you have colitis or Crohn's disease or inflammatory bowel disease. What's that? Inflammatory bowel disease. It means your bowel's inflamed. What's causing it? Something. It ain't just something that just popped up. There's something causing it. Get rid of the something, and the body can heal itself. It's just crazy. Okay. But bad stuff get into our large intestine, and they open up those cell walls, those tight junctions, and bad substances go from inside the colon to inside our body and into the bloodstream. So rather than the bad stuff getting out of the body through a system you're probably familiar with, it gets reabsorbed into the body, into the bloodstream, into the cellular level. And at a cellular level, that unhealthy stuff causes the cells to become toxic. When those cells walls are toxic, they can't do what they're supposed to do. They can't absorb everything. So we need to know how to handle that, and we do. So the next picture is what's called the three-legged stool. And there's three parts. Now, a stool can't stand on two legs or one leg. A three-legged stool can stand. So the first leg is called stressors. There's only three stresses in your life, only three things that can stress you out. One's physical, that would be damage to the body or the nervous system from trauma or something. Chemical, all this bad stuff we've been talking about in our environment, where 2.4 billion tons of toxins, and 250 billion tons of toxins are dumped on the planet every year. So we're getting more toxic. And then emotional, we talked about what you think about, you talk about what you talk about, you bring about. Quit thinking about the bad stuff, write down good stuff and focus on it. Try it for 90 days. Try it for 30 days. Try it for a day. See if you can get through a day with it. Stressors affect the second leg of the stool that's called the microbiome, all those bugs that live in our gut and surround our whole body, by the way. Our whole body is covered, all the skin and everything's covered with these bugs, viruses, and microbiome. One thing about using all of the sterile cleansers, not only does it kill an occasional bad pathogen, but it also destroys the healthy microbiome on your skin, taking away your force field, and then those bad microbiomes can get into your body easier. So be careful about using those desanitizing things wherever you go. Every time you squirt one on your hand, you're actually doing more harm than good. All right. And plus there's a lot of substances in those products that do absorb into your skin. You know, a lot of the people that I see with problems have been in the automotive industry, for instance, and they're dipping their hands in solvents all day and then they use brake fluid to get the grease off of their hands because it works well. Well, what do you think happens when you're putting that chemical on your hands to sterilize it all the time? There's different types of substances in there. I'm drawing a blank to the name right now, that actually get to your liver and they damage the liver's ability to detoxify certain elements. And this cascade actually can increase the likelihood that parasites will live in your body, in your liver, called liver flukes. It's not a fluke. It happens because you don't know how to take care of it. So you got the three-legged stool, the stressors, physical, chemical, and emotional, affect the microbiome, the bugs in our gut. those affect the way our food is digested and the way we eliminate toxic stuff, which gets into the bloodstream, goes to a cellular level, gets into the cells, and affects our genes, which affect our DNA, which turns on bad chronic autoimmune diseases, genetic diseases, on all these other things. It didn't just turn on like a light switch arbitrarily. You know, now if you walk into a room, sometimes the lights will go on automatically. Genes don't go on automatically. Something has to trigger it. You have to flip the switch in that room to get the light on. Those bad genes don't just turn on randomly. Something makes it happen, or all of them would turn on at birth and we die on birth, but we don't. Some of us go all through life with a gene never turning on. So the next slide shows you your innate intelligence above this. So, you know, as your mental, emotional, spiritual being, whatever you see yourself as, that is you. Okay. So if you decide something's going to happen, you can make it happen as long as you decide to make it happen. If you have doubt and you are pretending, there's a less likelihood that it will happen. So things that you're in control of and you work hard enough at will happen. You know, they say luck, that guy's really lucky. Well, what's the definition of luck? Where hard work and preparation meet. That's the guy who's lucky. He has hard work and preparation. Now, you have the occasional person that wins the lottery. You can call them lucky. But if you want to be lucky, work hard and prepare. And then you will find luck, because that is a persistence that will occur. So we're getting close to the end of the show here. The last slide I have up for those of you that want to watch this later at Dr. Duncan McCollum YouTube. Please join me on there. Follow me on there. This show will be redone on my podcast, McCollum Wellness Radio. You can see it or listen to it again on KSCO in the archives. You can find me at my office. You can find me on Facebook, Duncan McCollum, or you can join the Health Rebels on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. So I try to get myself out there. You know, my office is really busy. There's always room for one more. Oftentimes, not often, but sometimes people come in and I just say, I don't think I can help you. Sometimes it's because there's a condition that I don't understand or know. Other times because they're just not ready. So I really need to make sure they're ready. I have a quote on my wall by Hippocrates that says, before you can help somebody with their health condition, you need to ask them if they're ready to stop doing the things that got them there in the first place. So, you know, that's really the bottom line. It's up to you. If it's going to be, it's up to me for myself. If it's going to be for you, it's up to you. So I hope this show was a little bit helpful, was kind of fun. You can actually call up and quote and request this show with all of the slides and the article that I read. I'd be more than happy to send it to you. And hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. There we go. And so we got a couple minutes left, about a minute, 30 seconds left. So if you know anybody that you think needs help, and they're looking for help, and they've decided that they want to change their life, let's see if we can work together. I don't work with everybody because sometimes we just don't match, or what we do isn't right for you, or you're not ready. So at any rate, this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, KSCO Radio. We're going to go out with Steve Funderford's version sung by Tony Lindsay of You Can Be Free.
The truth is right in front of you. You will see. It will make a better road. You search and you reach down inside. And you look when you find there's a light you can't hide.